Again, we're back with Tennessee's House Speaker Cameron Sexton. John?
You mentioned this at the top of the show. I didn't know you were going to, but I did want to ask you about the Juvenile Justice Reform Bill, which caused great angst among the judiciary. Ill thought out, lack of consensus. I heard all kinds of pretty harsh complaints and criticisms about it. I wonder what happened there, and I wonder what you're thinking, because as it evolved, it sort of got even messier from what I understand from lawyers who are paying attention to what was being proposed, even at one point maybe thrusting it into the hands, if you will, of the Court of Criminal Appeals or their laps. What do you think? How do you make it better, since it didn't go very well at all from the PR perspective at a minimum, and what are you thinking you do, say, come January?
Yeah, I'm not worried about the PR perspective. What I'm worried about is you have a DA who says, I want to charge someone as an adult. That's the first step. The second step is the judge has to agree to it. If the judge doesn't agree to it, it does not happen. What we're saying is if you feel like someone should be charged as an adult and they deny it, there should be an appeal process. There's no appeal process right now. It's just done. And so we're trying to set up an appeals process. And so that's kind of where we're at. I think some people feel like it could go back to the criminal court, maybe would be the one to appeal, which we're going to look at. So we pulled back and we're like, we'll continue the conversations. But if a DA feels that strongly that a juvenile should be charged as an adult and the judge can just say absolutely not, there has to be something on the outside.
Well, that's what judges do, Cameron, though. They push back on one side or the other, be it the defense or the DA, to say, no, I disagree. And the problem that I think a lot of lawyers that practice, and I am one of those that practice in that field, that taking that authority and giving it to a criminal court judge who doesn't have the training, the skill sets. Take Steve Sword, one of our finest jurists in Knox County on the criminal bench, Tim Irwin, juvenile court judge, legendary through the state. Tim Irwin's going to do a better job at evaluating whether or not the juvenile system can serve a child that is charged with a very serious crime than Steve Sword, and they both will tell you that. And so I'm not sure that may be a solution that really doesn't have a problem. I understand the concern with 16 and 17-year-olds committing very violent acts, but Tim Irwin generally does a pretty good job at evaluating which ones stay and which ones need to go.
I would agree with you maybe 2 years ago, until Shelby County elected a DA named Steve Mulroy. Steve Mulroy has tried 35 times, 35, to have a juvenile charged as an adult. He ran on not charging juveniles as an adult. Let me just be clear. He said, I don't want to charge any as adults. For him to say, I want to charge 35 juveniles as an adult, and the judge to say no, tells me there's a problem. And so how do we fix that problem? It's not a problem in East Tennessee. I understand. They may agree. They may not want to appeal. That's perfectly fine. But when you have the most progressive DA in our state that can't even charge juveniles as an adult because of the judge in Shelby County, that's a problem.
Let me switch to a different issue and talk about DCS. We've talked about the crisis there. Let's spend 30 seconds on this. The legislature devoting millions more dollars to ensure that young people who are in the system aren't sleeping in offices. Right. Is that changing, and are you satisfied with where the state is with treating young people who are in the care of the state?
It is changing. You don't hear about it as much as anymore. I mean, I think we still need to do more. We need to do a better job of fostering, have more foster parents. We need to do a better job of adoption. We need to do a lot of things better. But we also need to identify why these kids are in DCS custody. A lot of times they come through the juvenile justice system, and they come from broken families. And so we have to address all the needs. And what you figured out when you get into the General Assembly, things seem very simple before you get there. I know with you all in the world, you see the complexities of the juvenile justice system, but then you see the complexities, and this affects this. Education, third grade reading affects who graduates high school. That's part of the criminal justice system. That affects juveniles' life. That affects their opportunity for success. So a lot of these issues bleed in together, and I think we have to focus on the whole as we're trying to focus on that DCS issue as well.
Mr. Speaker, hang with us just a minute. We're going to pay some more bills on WBIR, and then Susan will lead us off in our final block.